I'm Steven. I live in Houston. Just signed the papers to pay for a car with my tiny office salary. Not trying to brag or anything, but it's a horror story that made me swear off public transportation for good. That night, on the last bus from work to my place, I grabbed a seat in the back row. It was just me, some girl, and the driver on the bus at that point. I leaned back, shut my eyes, and just tried to relax. It took me almost an hour to get home. The girl, annoyed, told the driver, "You can skip the empty stops. It'll save time. I gotta be home in 15 minutes." I noticed she looked like she was still in school. With all that heavy makeup and colorful clothes, she probably just came from a party. The driver replied slowly, "Chill, girl, I'm just following the rules. But your rules ain't gonna help me dodge my parents finding out." The driver laughed and was like, "This last bus ain't just for people. It's got other stuff too." That caught me off guard a bit. The girl rolled her eyes, plopped back in her seat, and started scrolling on her phone. I closed my eyes, leaned back, and tried to rest. I was exhausted, but I just couldn't fall asleep. A while later, when the bus stopped, a cold wind hit, and it made me shiver. I looked around and realized I was the only one on the bus. No one got on the bus at this stop. I zipped up my jacket, shoved my hands in my pockets, and curled up. "Why is it so cold?" I mumbled. I checked the clock, and it was already past 11. Just about 30 minutes till I got home. I pulled out the book I was reading to kill some time. I turned the page, then looked up by accident and saw a girl sitting near the door in a red sweater with long, messy brown hair. Clearly, that girl wasn't there a minute ago. I looked out at the street, and there was no bus stop around here. When did she even get on? No way. This can't be the high school girl who just ran away from home. Whatever. I went back to reading. The second time I looked up, it kind of seemed like the girl was sitting closer to me, but I wasn't sure. She was sitting up straight and didn't seem to budge. I kept reading, but I couldn't focus. The air in the bus was getting colder, and I started shivering. After a few minutes of trying to focus, I looked up at the girl in the red shirt again. She was sitting way closer to me, like just 2 rows away. My heart started racing, and I felt this weird shortness of breath. I tried to shake off the bad thoughts by keeping on reading, gripping the book tight. The light on the page faded, and a dark shadow took over. That girl, she was right in front of me, but she moved without making a sound. I started gasping and slowly looked up. She was still sitting up straight, but the sweater wasn't red. It was soaked in some red stuff that smelled fishy. Before I could even react, the girl gently pushed her hair back with both hands. She pushed her hair back, and behind it, a messed up face stared at me, and she started giggling. I just mumbled some sounds. It took a few more seconds, then finally screamed, letting all the horror out. When I ran out of breath, I took another one and screamed again. I kept doing that until something hard smacked my head. "What's wrong with you?" I opened my eyes, and it was that girl from earlier, holding a school bag. She was staring at me like she was judging me. I was freaking out, looking all around the bus like, "The girl in red, the girl with long hair." I kept saying it, about to lose it. I bolted off the bus, stood at the stop, and gasped for air. The bus took off, and in my seat, I saw the back of a girl in red, sitting up straight. I couldn't take it anymore and just collapsed, trying to figure out where I was. It was a stop close to my place, so I jumped up and ran home, my hands shaking as I tried to open the door. I never went near that bus stop again, and I never told anyone about that creepy experience. No one would believe this, but I'm sure the stuff I felt was real as heck.
I am Wade, 29 years old. I just quit my job at my old company because I didn't see myself growing there and I wanted something more. After taking some time off and looking for a new gig, I was happy to pick between two companies in Florida. I love this state because I get to travel around here and visit family. The weather in Florida always makes me feel comfy and good vibes. The two companies I interviewed with were pretty good, and I was really excited about the chance to live and work in Florida. My finances weren't great at the time, so I decided to drive to Florida on my own for the interview. Time was tight, so I drove through the night to get to Florida in the morning and hit the interview that afternoon. I threw on a podcast story and swapped out the car's air freshener. Kicking things off with a positive vibe made me feel chill, not scared of the dark or the empty highway. All I could see on the road was my car's headlights cutting through the mist and the trees swaying in the shadows. A few hours later, I saw a guy on the side of the road, driving the same way I was. He was dressed in all black, just standing there next to his car that was turned off. The light was pretty low, so I couldn't make out his face. As I got closer, I felt like he was staring at me. In that moment, I thought about stopping to see if he was okay. But then, my actions didn't match my thoughts, and I just hit the gas and drove straight ahead. About 10 minutes later, I saw another guy standing there by himself. This guy didn't have any other cars around him. I thought something had happened to him, so I decided to pull over. When the car stopped and I turned to look, he was gone. My heart skipped a beat, and I looked around, trying to figure out where he went. There was a little trail nearby, heading into the dark woods. Could he have run into it? But why so fast? I started getting more suspicious about the guy in the black suit, feeling freaked out, so I just took off. I tried to calm myself down, but the image of the guy in the black suit kept popping into my head. I decided to stop at a Denny's for a break, thinking some food and a rest would make me feel better. I was enjoying my sandwich when my eyes drifted to the window, and suddenly, I got chills all over. The guy in the black suit was standing outside staring right at me. He just stood there, silent and still, with those dark, empty eyes staring through the glass. I felt my blood run cold, and my breathing got heavy. I couldn't sit there any longer, so I grabbed my coffee, rushed out of the shop, and hustled to my car. I slammed the door shut, my hands shaking as I shoved the key in the ignition and hit the gas, speeding out of the parking lot. I drove for a few more hours and didn't see any more guys. Slowly, I started to feel a lot better. Maybe it was just a coincidence, and I was overthinking it. But when I accidentally glanced at the rearview mirror, I almost stopped breathing. The guy in the black suit was sitting in the back seat of my car. My heart was pounding. I screamed in panic and hit the gas. The car shot forward. I almost lost control, fumbling and freaking out trying to find the brake. I jumped out of the car, yanked open the back door, but there was no one there. The guy was gone, like he'd never been there. I looked around, scanning the quiet night, but all I could hear was the wind whistling through the trees. I felt like I was losing it, not able to make sense of what was going on. Scared and freaked out, I decided to drive to a nearby motel to crash for the night. I needed to calm down, just a safe place to think it all through. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every little sound freaked me out. I just wanted morning to come fast so I could get out of there. The next morning, I left the motel super early, drove straight to the city, and stayed away from all the empty roads. When I got to my first interview, I still felt pretty anxious. I walked into the room, and my heart nearly stopped when I saw the recruiter. He, the guy sitting in front of me, had the exact same face as the guy in the black suit I'd seen on the street. I was frozen, barely able to believe what I was seeing. Fear hit me hard, and I couldn't focus on the interview. My mind went blank, and my words came out all messed up. I totally bombed that interview, but more than anything, I felt like I was losing it. I was totally confused, not getting what was happening to me. I tried to chill out before the second interview. This time, there was no weird guy like that, so I was able to do better. Now I'm all about working on myself and my career, living the life I wanted in Florida. Little by little, I convinced myself it was all just a coincidence. Maybe I was just so stressed and anxious about the interview that I fixated on the guy in the black suit. A few days ago, I read an article about the company I bombed the interview for going bankrupt, where the recruiter had a face just like that mysterious guy I saw on the highway. The company had been dodging taxes for years and finally got busted, going bankrupt. The recruiter, Mark, was arrested for harassing women, and according to the police, it wasn't his first offense. But at night, when I'm sitting alone, I still can't help but wonder, was it really all in my head? Or was there some kind of miracle that helped me dodge the danger?